Most Australians think that buying an investment property is one of the smartest financial moves that you can make. And while I agree with that, the brutal reality is, guys, most investors get it wrong. To provide some evidence, today in Australia, 71% of investors never make it past one investment property, and less than 1% make it to 5 or more investments. They lose years, and sometimes tens of thousands of dollars, and not from bad luck, but from bad decisions they made before they even signed a contract. Now, everyone thinks the answer is more information, more research, more content, more waiting until they feel ready. But that's exactly what keeps most people broken on the sidelines, while clients like ours are the ones who are building the large portfolios. I'm Corey Jones, and I've helped hundreds of everyday Australians just like you generate over $100 million in equity in the last 5 years alone. And today I'm going to break down for you the 5 brutal truths that will save you tens of thousands of dollars on your next property and speed up the growth of your portfolio. Starting with number 1. If you're about to buy an investment property, you're already familiar with the suburb, you have not done your research. Now, to be clear, guys, some people come to us and tell us that they've done their research, right? And they'll say, hey, Corey, I found a really great area. We really want to invest in this region for X, Y, and Z reason. My first question is, have you compared that one suburb across the other 15,000 suburbs in the country? Now, the answer I generally get from that is no, which means that you haven't done your research at all. The property that you think that you want is probably a terrible investment. Nice homes do not make good investments. Cheaper properties in those deemed worse areas will probably outperform anything that you think that you're looking at. Your emotions are the absolute best way of not making money. In fact, if you want to be a smart investor, you've got to make all your decisions logically, not emotionally. Now, the way to think about it, guys, most people want a really nice area. What is a nice area? It has parks and schools, train stations, all the different amenities and infrastructure that you think that you want, and it's fantastic. But the point is, the market's already reflected with those prices. In other words, if you're already buying in what's considered a blue chip area, it's already got all the nice stuff. There's nothing actually going into that market that's going to cause that market to outperform. In fact, it's already performed. You're buying it once it's at the peak. In other words, if you could find the future blue chip, now you're really doing the right research. Number 2, your mindset is the make or break to your wealth, whether you like it or not. Mastering your emotions is one thing, but being controlled by impulsive behavior, that is what keeps most people trapped. Now, as an example, when you're investing, you really ultimately want to try and buy at the right time. You want to hold for the long term, despite what all your friends and family are telling you, despite what the media is telling you, you've got to do what's required for you. One thing that we see all the time here is people chasing FOMO, or even a number of properties. This is all ego-driven. This is not what's going to allow you to do what's required to succeed. For example, the amount of property gurus out there saying that, oh, I own 20, 30, 40, 50 investment properties. That number, guys, means absolutely nothing. It is the most irrelevant, ego-driven metric you can possibly think. Now, what will actually help you in terms of mindset? Firstly, these are some things that I've actually done and what our clients have done. And this is stuff that we focused on that actually gets results. Firstly, being willing to delay gratification. Everybody wants everything right now. Your wealth is not going to come right now, especially if you're starting from zero, unless you're playing the lotto. So fundamentally, there are things that you're going to need to sacrifice today in order to have a better future for tomorrow, right? That is delayed gratification. Having belief in yourself and knowing that you will succeed. Your nervous system can literally do most of this work for you. You've just got to program it right. If you believe and you know that you can succeed and you know you can achieve things, just in knowing and believing this, like your nervous system is going to do all the work and heavy lifting for you. But here's the catch. If in your mind you're doubting yourself, or if you don't believe, you're literally not programming your nervous system to actually do the right thing and do what it's going to take to do. All right. So belief and believing in yourself is hugely, hugely incredible. Things like manifestation, power, positive thinking, right? Again, incredibly powerful if it's done the right way. Hunger. How bad do you want it? Think about any goal in your life, and not just money goals or property goals or investment goals. Think about even personal goals, fitness goals, right? If you believe, like many, that you're slightly overweight, right? Things like, for example, dieting, exercise, good sleep, good routines, good habits. These are all things that you really need to be implementing if you want any sort of success. Now, here's the catch. When you do start to dip on, skipping training and things like that, the question that I have for you, how bad do you actually want it? Because in those moments where let's just say your discipline or your motivation lapses, that's really separating people who are hungry and people who are not. So the question I've got for you is, how bad do you want it? That's hunger. And then finally, action. The only thing in life that's going to allow you to get what you want is action, and acting upon that every single day. And when I say action, I'm talking about consistent, relentless action every day towards your goal, right? At the end of the day, guys, if you do not have the mindset that's prepared to take the action that's required, unfortunately, there's no advice, no help, no information, no knowledge that can be imparted to you that's going to actually help you. Number 3, your bank has set you up to fail. Investment brokers nowadays, guys, are the only way forward. The amount of times that I work with people and see they're speaking to a bank manager, they've got a broker within that particular bank who's going to go give them the loan, thinking that that's the right thing to do, it is absolutely not. In fact, that's one of the best ways to actually kill really anything when it comes to your finances, right? Now, here's the problem. When you go to your bank, let's say you were to go to ANZ Bank or Commonwealth Bank tomorrow. ANZ or Commonwealth Bank can only advise on the products that ANZ or Commonwealth Bank has. They can't give you opinions on other banks and other lenders. Now, keep in mind, guys, there are over 100 lenders in this country today that are giving mortgages. If I was to go to ANZ tomorrow and try and build a very comprehensive investment plan, investment strategy, I'm only going to get advice from ANZ based on ANZ products. If I go work with an independent broker, straight away, I'm going to have access to 40 to 50 different lenders, not just ANZ's products. But more importantly, most brokers, they don't know how to invest properly. They don't know the structures that really requires when it comes to investing. Now, one thing to think about here, guys, we used to live in a property-dominated world. What that means is you could go buy property and go find someone to write the finance and get a broker to go and write the finance for that particular loan. Today, we are not in a property-dominated world. We're in a finance-dominated world. What that means is your finance structure dictates your strategy. Your finance structure allows you to keep expanding past that first and second investment. If you work directly with your bank, you are increasing your chances of fail because they're not aware of this stuff. One easy example of this, guys, is finance firewalls. Every house, different bank. Bank 1, Bank 2, Bank 3, Bank 4, Bank 5 for 5 investment properties. Now, that's a perfect case scenario. Not always the case, but that's just the perfect case, just as an example. Problem is, you walk into ANZ, they're going to give you advice on other banks' products. They're not going to be building a comprehensive structure that allows you to go to and buy multiple properties. They're simply reacting to a single purchase. Now, what that means is come time when you actually work with an investment broker, you're going to have to start redoing all this work, all right? If you start with an investment-minded broker from the get-go and build a strategy from day one with all of this in mind in terms of your entire plan, you will go so much further, so much faster, so much more efficiently. It's all about having an investment specialist guide your finances from day one. Number 4, you will not retire with just property. Residential property here in Australia is a growth asset, not a cash flow asset. And even with the more extreme high cash flow residential properties out there, the idea of hoarding those and living off the cash flow is an absolute illusion. And I know, guys, I've seen it. There are these property gurus out there saying they bought 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 properties. And, now they're financially free. Guys, this is noise. Trust me, they don't just own property. In fact, most of their wealth is coming from business, not property. Property and the equity that they're building within that property portfolio is providing them the equity to reinvest in other forms of assets, for example, businesses. Every single one of those guys that you're seeing, those property gurus who have got all those properties, are doing it from the income they're getting from business, not from normal PAYG incomes. All right, one of the biggest misconceptions that I see all the time. Now, our strategy and what I recommend, houses that buy houses that go on to buy other forms of investment. So guys, it's not just property, it's everything. And it's not about what you're investing in, it's about how you invest in it. For us, it's houses that buy houses that buy houses that buy houses that over time start buying cash flow assets in the future. So that way you've got a combination of property, shares, super, gold, bonds, businesses, everything. It's not just about residential property. Number 5, you don't need more information. You need better decisions, right? Over research, analysis paralysis, all this does is lead to inaction. Now that doesn't mean you can just go and rush and take action, but you've got to take action. That's the point. Most people consume content endlessly, day after day, more information, more conflicting information, no idea what to do. And then they act based on fragmented advice. All right, like I was saying before, guys, with that point number 1, the amount of people that come to me and say, hey, I want to buy a property in this area because I saw an ad saying this was a hotspot is absolutely mind-boggling, guys. Again, to be clear, don't rely on random tips. Rely on a full thought-out strategy for you and your situation. That is the key here, guys. Like I said, you don't need more information, you need better decisions. I hope these 5 brutal truths help you guys. Any questions, feel free to reach out.